Okay, good morning, or good afternoon, I should say, everyone. It is late in the afternoon on June 3rd when I am preparing this video. I have just finished my work for today and thought I would do a video set up for this weekend. What I wanted to talk about was thirst trapping in the Russo-Ukrainian War. If you're not familiar with the term thirst trapping is when you use pictures of attractive people to try to trap an audience, bring them in somehow. Um, in the Russian-Ukrainian war, both sides are engaged in information warfare. They are all over the internet trying to drive opinion, find recruits, find business deals, whatever. Any way they can use opinion to their advantage. What both sides have done is they've made use of thirst trapping. And let me start with how the Russians do it, and then I'll talk about how the Ukrainians do it. The Russians have largely been appealing to young men in Europe and the United States. And what they do is they get all of their people like Ian Miles Chong and people like that. And they also have lots of bots and stuff that do this on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and things like that. And they put out all these short videos of, like, oh, this is what life is like in Moscow, or what do you notice about life in St. Petersburg or something like that. And what it usually is some variant of a heavily edited video of it's night, it's in the bar and club section of the city. Sometimes it's at a beach or a park in the daytime. And what you see is lots and lots of pretty young girls. And they're walking around, usually if it's at the bar or club section or the beach or a pool or something. So it's bikinis, it's tight revealing clothing, it's high heels, it's hair, it's makeup. It's all that. These videos are very heavily edited. When I mean edit, if you watch it, it's 1 or 2 seconds cut, 1 or 2 seconds cut. And one of the reasons they do this, so you see almost no men in these videos. You see just women. The women are all young, they're all pretty. The point of this is if you are a young man, you're in the United States, you're in Canada, you're in Germany, excuse me, you're in the United Kingdom, whatever, you see this and you're 22 years old, and the image it's giving you of Russia is a land brimming with gorgeous, sexually available young women. That's the point why they have to share them in bikinis and tight revealing outfits and things like that. If you just could get to Moscow, you would just have a girlfriend so quickly because there's so many of these gorgeous women just walking around everywhere, literally just walking around looking for a guy. The reason you don't see men in them is because they want to show a lack of sexual competition. You don't have to worry about other guys. There's not any around. There's just so many women. Now, in the rural areas of Russia, this is probably true because all the young men from those areas have been sent off to Ukraine, where a lot of them are dead or maimed. So I'm sure there are places in Russia where this is probably actually true, but they tend to do these videos in the major cities because if you need to go out one night and get a lot of film of young pretty girls, you need a place that has just a lot of young pretty girls, which means you need a lot of people, which means you need a big city. Moscow or St. Petersburg, those are far and away the three largest cities in Russia. Um, so that's kind of how the Russians do it. And the idea is they're saying, hey, look, you want to be on the Russian side because we got the girls and we're the side that can get you a girlfriend. We can get you laid even. That's kind of how the Russians approach it. The Ukrainian approach is similar but different. What they tend to do is you see a lot of videos of beautiful girls in uniform. They're serving in the Ukrainian military, and if you look at their gear, it's perfect. There's not a blemish on it. There's not mud or dirt, or nothing's ripped or torn or shabby. And they're loading ammo or something like that, and they've got their makeup's great and their hair's great, and they're singing, a song or something like that. And what they're doing is a much more wholesome join the Ukrainian army and find your wife. You will find this beautiful young girl, you will fall in love, you will get married, you will have 10 beautiful children, and it'll be awesome. And oh, by the way, don't worry about the whole having to go off to war and fight the Russians thing, where there's a very good chance you will get killed. Just kind of glaze over that whole part in and of itself. I don't blame the Ukrainians for this. I would do the same thing if I were them. They need recruits. you know, Generally when you're in war, you need all the manpower you can get, and the more guys you can get to volunteer, the better. Um, that's a different topic. Sorry, don't want to chase a rabbit on that one. But both countries are doing it, and they're doing it a lot on the internet. Now, you may be wondering, okay, how would I know this? I'm not a young guy. I'm, middle aged. I'm married. I have kids. The reason is because I tend to be looking for lots of information about this war. I get in my social media feeds, I get a lot of this content. I get the propaganda from both sides. Both sides are very much engaged in propaganda. I think the Ukrainian is definitely of better quality than the Russian, but they're both doing it, again, with different purposes. The Ukrainians want recruits. The Russians want public support amongst young men in the United States and Europe. So if you're wondering why are young men drifting in that direction, that is why. Now, of course, what these things are not showing you is all the young men getting killed in the war. They're not showing you that the populations are collapsing in both countries, things of that nature. And by the way, if you are an American male and you're 22 and you're thinking, if I can just get to Russia, good luck. If you get there, you may very well be impressed. And when I say impressed, I don't mean like you are impressed, but as in you are pressed into service. You may find yourself getting blown up by a Ukrainian drone potentially. And the other thing you will find, be very shocked to discover, is that the places where they do these videos, Moscow and St. Petersburg, is where Russia has tried desperately not to recruit manpower from. Those are their core political and economic power bases. They have only just recently started recruiting in those areas. So if you get there, remember those videos were edited to make sure you didn't see the men. You will get there, you will find there are plenty of other young men. In other words, there is lots of sexual competition for you in that area. If you decide to join the Ukrainian army because you think you're going to find your wife there, who knows, maybe you will. You're also going to get shot at by the Russians a lot. Let's hope you don't get killed. So either way, a little bit of an interesting note for the weekend. I hope everyone has enjoyed this video. As always, if you disagree, please say so in the comment section. Like and subscribe. And thank you so much to all my new subscribers, and thank you to everyone for the comments. I do read them and I do enjoy them. Thank you. Bye-bye.